Item Number SCP-Y-061. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-Y-061, provisionally designated the Ruins of Veloria, is to be secured within a 5-kilometer exclusion perimeter, maintained by Mobile Task Force Zeta-0, Bad Bunch, and Site-Y-1 security personnel. Access roads and pathways into Veloria must remain concealed and patrolled to prevent unauthorized entry. A minimum of 3 observation outposts are to be established at key locations within SCP-Y-061, primarily Veloria Keep, the bisected castle, and the former orphanage and boarding house known as the Guiding Heart. Each outpost must be staffed with personnel trained to handle Type 2 poltergeist phenomena and equipped with secure data storage, for constant recording of spectral activity and minor object displacements. At least 2 MTF Zeta-0 psychic specialists must remain on standby at Site-Y-1 to perform routine psionic sweeps and counteract sudden surges of psychic resonance within the ruins. The hidden preservation lab beneath the Guiding Heart is to remain sealed outside of authorized research sessions. Entry requires full cognitive screening and psi-dampening protective gear. SCP-Y-061-AB1, along with any biological material extracted from it, must not be removed from the lab unless approved directly by the site director and 2 O5 council members. Experimental procedures involving SCP-Y-061-AB1 internal structures, particularly its heart, must include redundant, local containment, and electromagnetic shielding to prevent uncontrolled psionic broadcasts. Personnel must remember that SCP-Y-061's poltergeist activity is persistent, yet non-hostile. All research notes and equipment must be secured when not actively in use, with off-site backups maintained to prevent data loss due to displacement. Any incidents involving missing tools or possible spectral interference must be reported immediately. Surveys of SCP-Y-061's outskirts are to be conducted bi-monthly to locate any newly manifested ruins or segments of the original city, and to keep track of any correlated SCP-Y-061 world fragments that may have shifted independently into Provisional Reality-Y-1. Newly discovered structures are to be quarantined and brought under this designation pending thorough investigation. Description: SCP-Y-061 is the collective designation for a partially manifested medieval settlement within Provisional Reality-Y-1, encompassing what remains of the town known as Veloria. This includes significant structures such as Veloria Keep, a massive stone fortress split cleanly along its vertical axis, and the Guiding Heart, a former orphanage that covertly housed an underground alchemical research laboratory. It also includes a massive spanning city with various surrounding dwellings, merchant stalls, and thoroughfares, many of which show signs of violent destruction. Historical and linguistic analyses of inscriptions and recovered manuscripts place Veloria's original cultural development somewhere analogous to 13th century Europe in baseline reality. However, Veloria exhibits technological and metaphysical anomalies inconsistent with known medieval development, such as advanced psychic experimentation and the preservation of extraterrestrial biological matter. The town's manifestation implies its original world was only recently subsumed into PRY-1. Structural evidence, including a clean bisection of Veloria Keep, and entire streets terminating abruptly at sheer, reality-shifted edges, suggest the dimensional transition was sudden and incomplete. No other segments of Veloria have been located, fueling ongoing exploration efforts within PRY-1. Upon initial discovery, human remains in various states of decay were scattered throughout Veloria's homes, the Keep's war chambers, the streets, and the orphanage grounds. Most cadavers exhibit lacerations, blunt trauma, or evisceration consistent with predation by a large, unknown predator, or an aggressive anomalous entity. The throne room within Veloria Keep holds dozens of armored knights and nobles who died defending the fortress. Notably, the ruling king's corpse lies precisely bisected along with his throne. The settlement is a persistent hotspot for low-level poltergeist activity. Investigations by MTF-Zeta-Zero's psychic operatives confirm a high concentration of residual spiritual entities that manifest as minor environmental disruptions. Doors opening and closing without cause, papers drifting mid-air, faint whispers, and the rearrangement of research equipment. Despite the unsettling frequency of these phenomena, the spirits remain non-hostile and appear bound to reenacting mundane, inconsequential actions, or maybe reenacting their panicked final moments from Veloria's demise. The most significant discovery is within the concealed substructure beneath the Guiding Heart, accessible only via a hidden passage in the orphanage's foundation. The lab is home to several sophisticated alchemical apparatus, ritual implements, and shelves of ancient texts and coded tablets. A reinforced chamber at the rear of the alchemical lab houses SCP-Y-061-AB1, an anomalous, extraterrestrial biological entity, preserved within a viscous, alchemically treated solution. SCP-Y-061-AB1's physiology does not match any known terrestrial species. It exhibits an elongated torso, multiple redundant organ clusters, and a hardened carapace encasing a large, multi-lobed brain. Despite clear biological death, SCP-Y-061-AB1 emits sporadic psionic transmissions, localized within its chest cavity. These signals have been described by trained psychics as guttural clicks, insectile growls, or distorted emotions, none of which have been decoded into coherent language. Notably, removing SCP-Y-061-AB1's heart halts all transmissions immediately. Reintroduction of the organ restores the signal. Extensive records found within the lab implicate an alchemist, known as Master Orwin Merik. Evidence suggests that Master Orwin operated the Guiding Heart under the guise of a benevolent caretaker, while performing clandestine experiments to awaken or amplify latent psychic potential in orphans and vagrants. The alchemical recipes included diluted samples of SCP-Y-061-AB1's blood, mixed with herbal memory suppressants, indicating attempts to obscure the subject's recollection of these procedures. Cross-reference data from castle archives and fragmented town records reveal that Veloria's populace faced a catastrophic incursion by SCP-Y-061-AB1's species, a predatory alien collective presumed to have arrived roughly 2 decades prior to Veloria's final collapse. Their psionic dominance and technological gap left Veloria nearly defenseless, culminating in widespread devastation and the city's anomalous migration into PRY-1. The fate of the invasive alien species remains undetermined. At this point in time, no living specimens have been recovered, raising debate over whether the dimensional shift exterminated them, separated them elsewhere in PRY-1, or left them dormant in undiscovered ruins. Researchers continue to study SCP-Y-061 as both a unique relic of a lost civilization and a volatile junction between ancient human desperation and inhuman psionic biology. Investigation remains high priority, due to potential insights into PRY-1's initiation and process when consuming entire worlds, and its consequences for baseline reality. Addendum Y61-B. Approximately 6 months after the manifestation and subsequent investigation of Veloria, Foundation reconnaissance teams reported the anomalous appearance of another medieval village within Provisional Reality-Y-1, provisionally designated Eldermire. Unlike Veloria's structural damage, indicative of instantaneous dimensional transition, Eldermire exhibited signs of a prolonged and violent conflict. Buildings were partially burned, roads were barricaded with hastily constructed defenses, and evidence of intense combat littered the streets. Corpses, though fewer in number compared to Veloria, displayed traumatic injuries characteristic of a prolonged struggle against overwhelming force. The pervasive spiritual density recorded in Eldermire necessitated the deployment of the brainwave auditory reception device, BARD, to interpret residual psychic transmissions. The initial data gathered revealed haunting collective broadcasts from the lingering spirits of Eldermire's former inhabitants, who, remarkably, seemed unaware of their own deaths. These spectral broadcasts repeatedly conveyed a sense of hopeful patience, confident in the imminent arrival of a legendary figure referred to consistently as, quote, Numera's hero, who was believed destined to deliver them from their demonic adversaries. Historical investigation and extensive retrieval of archival records within Eldermire uncovered the central figure behind this belief, Father Isidore Wellmoth, the head priest of the local religious institution known as the Church of Numera. Recovered sermons, public notices, and temple engravings revealed that Father Wellmoth had fervently preached about a divine champion, Numera's chosen, who would protect true believers from, quote, the demons, which appeared to be the villagers' term for the extraterrestrial invaders. For 2 years, Wellmoth cultivated unwavering trust among Eldermire's residents, instilling in them an unshakable belief that their salvation was certain if they maintained their faith in Numera's divine promise. The depth of the villagers' devotion and hopeful anticipation was particularly evident in personal effects retrieved from the ruins. Letters, diaries, and personal prayers, many explicitly referencing Numera's hero with heartfelt reverence and unwavering certainty. Families wrote of the hero's imminent arrival as though it were guaranteed. Parents comforted their frightened children by recounting heroic stories, and villagers often held nightly vigils to pray for the swift appearance of their promised savior. The poignant tragedy embedded in these records is their sincere and unquestioning belief in a figure who, by all recorded evidence, had only ever been spoken of in legend. The exploration of deeper, concealed chambers beneath Eldermire's primary temple complex yielded disturbing revelations. Father Wellmoth's private chambers concealed numerous confidential journals, documenting his true perceptions of Numera's hero. Contrary to his public declarations, Wellmoth's private writings overflowed with intense hatred and disdain for the hero figure. He condemned Numera's chosen as, quote, the corrupted offspring of demonic filth, attributing the hero's existence to the vile heresies of Master Orwin Merik, the notorious alchemist from Veloria's The Guiding Heart Orphanage. Wellmoth detailed a calculated strategy wherein the church would outwardly support and propagate belief in Numera's hero, solely until the alien threat had been vanquished. Thereafter, the hero would be destroyed, purged as an aberration equal in wickedness to the invading aliens. The cognitive dissonance between Wellmoth's public facade and private contempt painted a profoundly tragic portrait of manipulation and betrayal. Eldermire's population died holding on to false hope, crafted meticulously by a leader who despised the very savior he promised them. Their spiritual remnants, captured by the BARD device, persist in an eternal vigil of hopeful anticipation, blind to the reality of their demise, and forever awaiting an individual who never was and never will be their savior. Repeated Foundation attempts to communicate the harsh truth to these lingering spirits have proven unsuccessful. Any contradiction to their entrenched beliefs is met with confusion and vehement denial, reinforcing the heartbreaking conclusion that the hope fostered by Wellmoth has transcended death itself, creating an afterlife eternally bound in tragic anticipation. Eldermire remains a poignant memorial to the vulnerability of belief, the cruelty of deception, and the power of hope to persist, even in the face of undeniable annihilation. Recovered notes from Father Isidore Wellmoth.
It sickens me each day to utter these falsehoods. Numera's hero, as they call him, is no more divine than the demons we fight. A wretched creation born from the foul alchemy of Orwin Merik. Still, I preach hope, for hope is the leash that binds these poor souls. Let them dream of salvation and sing praises to a bastard child of heresy and corruption. When the demons fall, we will cut down their false savior, and cleanse our world once and for all. Numera will forgive me. For this necessary deception, the hero's death will mark the end of the demons, both foreign and homegrown.
Addendum 061-C. Recent linguistic breakthroughs have allowed Foundation translators to decode previously unintelligible notes written by Master Orwin Merik. These notes, penned in an archaic dialect, significantly older than the common tongue of Veloria, reveal unexpected depths to Merik's motivations and psychological state. Recovered journal notes from Master Orwin Merik.
In this, mine own journals, I place down truths too bitter for public consumption. Long hath I fled the heavy hand of Numera's church, branded heretic for mine inquiries into nature's secrets. Yet, when the fell stars descended, heralding the demon's wrathful advent, I dared approach the self-same church, proposing ceasefire for survival's sake. Such folly be my eternal regret. My life's devotion was to the gentle herb and rare bloom, the flora that doth ease the body's torment-halting tremors, quelling agony, suppressing reactions fierce unto poisons. Never did I dream of harnessing powers vile, yet desperation breedeth dangerous resolve. Thus, with church-granted sanction, and the dread corpse they preferred, I commenced mine studies beneath the veil of the guiding heart. Dire were mine experiments upon the forsaken, the orphans, the unloved, souls unseen and unmissed by Veloria's eyes. Each infusion of the demon's cursed blood ended grimly. Convulsions fierce, bodies riven asunder by psychic tempest, too great for mortal vessels. Each lost life etched guilt deeper into my heart, a sorrow unending, unrelenting. Yet hope arrived in a visage small, a child cast out, named evil from his birth by fearful kin. This boy, scarce 4 years, bore the psychic spark and survived the blood's corruption. His life became mine sole focus, years passing in tutelage and growth, a bond deeper than mere student and master. Power within him burgeoned, a might unbounded as he learned to wield the demon's grim gifts. Alas, at 13 winters, the church claimed him, my nameless child. Crowned as Numera's hero, grief and fear consumed me, such burdens too great, too cruel to lay upon one innocent heart. Yet the church turned cold to my pleas, forbidding further trials, and thus ending my grim work relief, entwined with sorrow. My soul is burdened past endurance. With no other path, I choose penance through my own grim arts, subjecting myself to demons' vile blood, a fate fitting my sins. Let these notes bear testament to a life led astray, ambition turned to tragedy. Should any read this, seek no power from horrors unknown, or their gifts come at cost most terrible. My body shall not remain, my guilt dispersed upon winds unseen. Forgive me, dear child. May Numera's mercy spare us both.
Despite extensive searches, Orwin Merik's remains have yet to be recovered, leaving his ultimate fate shrouded in mystery and regret. Incident Report Y-61 Alpha. Date: April 10th, 2000. Location: Outpost Kilo 6, Provisional Reality-Y-1. On April 10th, 2000, at approximately 0400 hours, an unprecedented dimensional instability event was detected near Outpost Kilo 6, the secured perimeter established around SCP-Y-044, a world apart. Sensor readings indicated a significant tear in the fabric of reality, originating roughly 2 kilometers east of the outpost. Initial response teams reported sightings of a massive wave of anomalous entities, later confirmed to be identical to the SCP-Y-061-AB1 alien lifeform. These creatures exhibited profound psychic capabilities, including telekinetic manipulation, low-level reality warping, and mind control. Outpost Kilo 6 personnel, unprepared for this caliber of psychic threat, engaged in desperate defensive measures, sustaining minimal casualties due to the rapid deployment of Mobile Task Force Zeta-0-B, Mythmakers, who had been redirected from nearby operations. The anomalous entities launched sustained psychic assaults. Sustained psychic assaults, say that shit 3 times fast. Employing devastating telekinetic strikes that shattered defensive emplacements and flung heavy equipment effortlessly aside. Despite the valiant efforts of MTF operatives, the alien entities' numbers appeared inexhaustible, replenished continually from the eastern dimensional breach. The defensive line steadily faltered, morale declining sharply amidst the overwhelming psychic bombardment. After approximately 20 minutes of intense combat, an anomalous voice echoed across the battlefield, described by survivors as the distant call of a young boy. The voice resonated anomalously through the chaotic battlefield, carrying words unintelligible but laden with emotion. This vocal phenomenon was immediately followed by a powerful psionic explosion of immense magnitude, shaking the ground violently and visibly disrupting the aliens' coordinated assault from the east, tearing masses of them to pieces and sending dregs of their leftover parts across the environment. As MTF Zeta-0-B, Mythmakers, arrived and fortified their positions, further psionic blasts echoed in rapid succession, each subsequent burst noticeably weaker. Audible distress signals from the alien entities intensified with each blast, suggesting significant casualties inflicted by these psionic explosions. Site Director William Waller promptly ordered MTF Zeta-0-B to investigate the origin of these psionic disturbances and exterminate any hostile entities encountered. Led by operatives Double Trouble, Sunny Boy, and Forehead, the squad advanced swiftly eastward, employing overwhelming force. Operative Double Trouble utilized draconic enhanced strength and flame capabilities, devastating enemy ranks with fiery precision, while Operative Sunny Boy augmented the assault with controlled pyrokinesis to pave the way through the masses. Meanwhile, Operative Forehead, having expanded into a multi-headed, multi-limbed combat form after equivalent damage, enacted a ferocious frontal assault, searing, burning, tearing, and paralyzing enemies with Hydra-derived abilities. Upon reaching the epicenter of the psychic explosions, operatives discovered a harrowing scene. A solitary boy, approximately 15 years old, clad in severely worn clothing and damaged chainmail, desperately fighting off the last remnants of the alien force with a heavily damaged broadsword. Already severely wounded, he continued to project increasingly feeble psychic blasts. Operative Double Trouble swiftly dispatched the alien entities that were mauling him, severing them cleanly with draconic claws. The boy, identified subsequently as Numera's hero, collapsed amidst severe injuries, desperately attempting to staunch his wounds using his psychic powers. Operatives Double Trouble and Sunny Boy administered immediate aid, but the boy's wounds were too grievous. He spoke fervently in his final moments, his words recorded but incomprehensible to operatives on site. Audio equipment later translated his utterances as profound apologies for failing his people and an anguished plea for another chance to fulfill his duty. Notably, the boy identified operative Sonny Boy as, quote, a man bathed in Numera's light, likely influenced by the boy's psychic perception and operative Blanche's diluted divine heritage as a 1/1000th demigod of Apollo. Despite heroic attempts to stabilize him, Numera's hero succumbed to his injuries in operative Blanche's arms, an event described by eyewitnesses as deeply somber and profoundly tragic. His body exhibited remarkable endurance, surviving injuries far beyond normal human thresholds, indicative of extensive psychic augmentation to keep himself moving. The aftermath assessment confirmed the neutralization of 12,908 Y-61-AB1 alien entities, with operative Forehead utilizing his paralytic saliva, successfully capturing 6 live specimens for containment and research at Site Y2. The body of Numera's hero and his belongings, including deteriorated armor, a near-destroyed broadsword maintained by psychic force, a satchel containing moldy bread, crude psychically imprinted illustrations of fellow orphans at the Guiding Heart, and a partially filled travel journal were secured and preserved for subsequent investigation by Dr. Barnaby Oswald. The event underscored the tragedy of SCP-Y-061, highlighting the devastating impact of reality shifts on innocent lives, the profound burden placed upon a single individual, and the ultimate futility experienced by Numera's hero in the face of insurmountable odds. His sacrifice, though heroic, marked an end bereft of the salvation he strived for, leaving behind only echoes of despair and unfulfilled promises, as his world continues to fracture and merge irreversibly into Provisional Reality-Y-1. Addendum 061-D. The translated journal entries of Numera's hero. Entry 1.
Master Orwin said keeping this journal would help me clear my mind. I don't write good yet, but I'll try my hardest. Master Orwin is kind, and the other kids of the Gilding Heart feel like brothers and sisters. Sometimes I wonder why my real parents left me. Master Orwin says I'm special, but I don't feel evil. I just want to protect everyone here. Maybe one day they'll see that I'm not bad.
Entry 17.
The churchmen visited again. They talked a lot about demons and how I'm supposed to save everyone. I only said yes because Master Orwin and my family here at the orphanage need me. They call me Numera's hero, but I don't feel like a hero yet. I just hope I can be strong enough to protect them.
Entry 34.
Today was scary. I fought my first real demon. It hurt me badly, but Master Orwin's medicine helped. I wish I could stay home, but Master Orwin says the world needs me more than ever. I'll keep going, because Master Orwin believes in me.
Entry 67.
I've seen so many villages hurt by the demons now. I used to just fight for my orphanage family, but now I understand everyone needs my help. If Numera chose me, I have to try harder. I'll protect everyone, even if it hurts.
Entry 102.
I miss Master Orwin and my brothers and sisters. My wounds never fully heal because there's always another battle. The priests push me forward, but I wish they'd let me rest just a little. Still, Numera gives me strength, so I keep fighting.
Entry 145.
Father Reynold wrote me today. He said Master Orwin disappeared. He thinks the church might have hurt him because of the studies he did. That can't be right. Master Orwin would never do anything wrong. I feel angry and sad. My heart hurts more than my wounds ever have.
Entry 163.
The demons are endless, and my body feels broken. My mind wanders sometimes. Father Reynolds' letter keeps replaying in my head. Master Orwin, my only father, gone. I feel so alone. But Numera won't abandon me. I must finish this fight, for everyone.
Entry 200.
I've made my decision. The priests say the demons come from one place, a devil god. I'll march there and end it myself. It's reckless, but I can't bear to see more pain. I won't come back until I've won or fallen. Master Orwin taught me bravery, and I won't fail him.
Entry 213.
I see it now. It's not a god, but a huge black rock. Demons pour from it endlessly, crawling like ants. My wounds ache, but Numera gives me enough strength for one last battle. When the sun rises, I'll strike. This will be the end, one way or another.
Entry 214.
Before dawn comes, I dreamt about the future. After the war, I'll return home and take over the guiding heart for Master Orwin. I'll give the lost children the home I found. I'll find someone to share my life, and we'll tell our children beautiful stories. I'll tell them about my adventures, but I think I'll embellish them, just a little bit. Maybe I'll even smile again, without pain. The ink is fresh, and so is my hope. Tomorrow, I'll save my people. Tomorrow, it'll finally end.
Researcher note. The journal's final entry was penned approximately 1 day prior to discovery in PRY-1, providing a poignant insight into the innocent aspirations and tragic fate of the young boy titled Numera's Hero. Addendum 061-E. Following the successful recovery and containment of several deceased specimens during Incident Y-61 Alpha, Foundation Bioxenology Division 3 has completed an exhaustive autopsy and anatomical study of the alien species collectively referred to under the SCP-Y-061 designation. The following represents a compiled analysis, drawn from over 212 hours of continuous biological dissection, molecular scrutiny, and psionic residue quantification. Overview. The SCP-Y-061 alien species displays extreme morphological variability across specimens, but all instances share a recurring pattern of evolutionary traits that suggest a rushed, imprecise, or intentionally chaotic form of biological development. Genetic sampling reveals overlapping strands of biomaterial, some appearing to be redundant or vestigial, while others appear to exhibit hyperfunctional psionic conduits that would be considered lethal in most known biological systems. External morphology. Carapace composition. The outer layer of the creatures is composed of a compound not previously catalogued, tentatively named xenokeratin psi. It is composed of tightly woven biomineral fibers coated in psionically reactive resin. This material not only offers extreme resistance to physical trauma, but also appears capable of reflexively stiffening or softening in response to environmental stimuli, possibly controlled via internal neural pulses. Visual and sensory variability. Some specimens possess compound black eyes capable of full-spectrum light absorption, including thermal, ultraviolet, and psionic wavelengths. Other variants exhibit a complete lack of visual organs, with neural tissue instead routed toward hypertrophied olfactory bulbs, or auditory receptor nodes, forming biolocational navigation systems. Notably, these blind variants exhibit increased combat precision in complete darkness, suggesting evolutionary compensation and an adaptive combat profile. Limb hierarchy and locomotion. The SCP-Y-061 alien entities possess hardened limbs, usually clawed, ranging from 2 to 4 arms. These limbs contain a reversible joint system that allows complete axial inversion without damage, enabling rapid bidirectional movement. Common drone profiles are as follows. Typically possess 2 arms and a hunched posture. serve as frontline assault units, lack higher cerebral lobe development, demonstrate erratic but forceful behavior, operating primarily on instinct and hive impulses. Soldier drone profile. Always possess 4 fully articulated arms, often in asymmetrical proportions. Serve in command or semi-autonomous tactical roles. Variants include lithe-limbed scouts, long limbs with high speed, canine-inspired quadrupeds, stabilized carapace ridge, hyperflexible spine, burrowers possessing chisel-like claws and vibrational-sensitive antennae. Minor cranial expansions contain layered psionic processing lobes in all species. The limb armor plating is segmented and partially retractable in soldier drones, likely allowing modulation of maneuverability versus defense. Under high-speed photography, limbs can reverse direction and deliver full-force attacks without turning the body, resulting in complex, chaotic assault patterns difficult to predict or counter. Notes on neurological and psionic structures. Properties of central nervous system. Densely packed neurofibers arranged in tri-helix bundles. Distributed secondary ganglia embedded across chest, hips, and spine to reduce vulnerability to decapitation. Exhibits unusual phenomenon low-frequency electric pulses that remain active post-mortem, possibly maintaining memory state. Psionic organ network notes. The brainstem is closely wrapped around a psionic core node, which appears crystalline under electron microscope analysis. This node interfaces with a central psionic heart, a massive, multi-chambered organ far larger than a typical metabolic heart. Notes on alien psionic heart. Termed Velcroa by research teams, the alien heart is believed to be both a circulatory and psychogenic core of the organism. It is enveloped in a mucus sheath composed of condensed psionic matter, visually akin to crystallized gel or resinous flame. Size differential. Hearts recovered from soldier-class entities are 30% to 120% larger than those of drones. The volume appears to correlate directly with recorded psi output capacity. Durability. Resistant to flame, puncture, and dismemberment. Reacts violently to electromagnetic pulse, suggesting hybrid biological and electronic functionality. Mucus layer. Color ranges from pale violet to deep black depending on residual charge. Higher psionic potential equals denser, darker mucus. Under stress, the mucus releases an ionized mist capable of interfering with psionic scans, believed to be a countermeasure for adversarial mind control. Autonomous preservation response. Upon host death, heart will enter a catatonic state, retaining a low-energy pulse. Time to full dormancy, 37 hours. If placed back inside its original host, the heart emits thin psionic threads, reattaching itself autonomously over an 8-hour period. Estimated maximum survival duration in this dormant state? Tens of thousands of years, barring environmental interference. Note: no interaction or reactivation is observed if the heart is placed in a genetically unrelated host. This suggests strict biological identity locking, possibly to prevent exploitation or theft of power. Comparison to the heart of Numera's hero. The heart removed from the body of Numera's hero displays identical architecture, but possesses the following: greater density of psionic mucus sheath, approximately 4,000% thicker, a golden core coloration, as opposed to violet, blue, or other darker hues. Regenerative potential bordering on biological immortality, though currently inert. Early hypotheses suggest that his heart was a refined or perfected version of the soldier drone's organs, likely a direct result of Master Orwin Merik's experimental filtration of SCP-Y-061-AB1's blood over time. Researchers postulate that, had the hero survived longer, his heart may have evolved into a truly limitless conduit of psionic potential, or become a sentient psionic entity of its own accord. Concluding remarks. The autopsy data confirms that SCP-Y-061's alien entities are part of a hierarchical, psionically evolved warrior caste, optimized through unnatural, perhaps manufactured biological processes. The chaotic inconsistencies in body plans, redundant sensory systems, and malformed limbs suggest these creatures may have been grown rapidly in bulk, or hastily constructed by a higher intelligence. This points towards a disturbing possibility. Y-61-AB entities were never naturally evolving species, but rather a weaponized bioconstruct, built not for survival or propagation, but for extermination, infiltration, and long-term psionic saturation of host worlds. Further study of the psionic hearts may yield critical breakthroughs in anti-psionic shielding, reality-anchoring biotech, post-death consciousness retention. In the meantime, containment of all recovered hearts is to remain under sealed electromagnetic stasis, within Psi-Null vaults at Site Y1. Any attempt to replicate their function or extend their lifespan artificially is strictly forbidden without O5 approval. Addendum Y61-F. Overview. During continued excavations within Veloria and adjacent related ruins in PRY-1, Foundation linguists and theologians recovered a number of religious artifacts, temple engravings, and encrypted texts belonging to a pre-existing religious institution known locally as the Church of Numera. Despite its initially innocuous angelic iconography, extensive investigation has revealed that the Church maintained a systematically concealed and heavily censored theology, with profound implications regarding the alien incursion, the rise of Numera's hero, and the possible non-anthropogenic origin of the Numera figure itself. Iconography and core beliefs. Numera is consistently depicted in temple art as a winged, feminine figure wielding a sword, clad in radiant light. Carvings and preserved murals display her as a protector of mortals, often shown shielding the faithful from shadowy monstrosities or descending from the heavens amid golden fire. Her facial features are universally idealized, symmetrical, serene, and maternal. The sword, sometimes inscribed with runes in a long-extinct language, is universally present in all depictions and appears to be the sole physical constant across stylistic variations. However, artifacts retrieved from hidden sanctums beneath major temples, including the largest substructure beneath the Veloria Cathedral, the primary church of Numera, reveal a more disturbing evolution in Numera's form. In these unauthorized texts and murals, Numera is shown with 6 arms, each bearing a sword, her eyes replaced with radiant voids, and her wings expanded to unnatural lengths. These representations, found almost exclusively in sealed, encrypted locations, stand in sharp contrast to the publicly known doctrine, the Book of Rising Light, Fragmented Theology. The Church's sacred book, titled The Book of Rising Light, was recovered in fragments from 3 sources: a sealed reliquary beneath Veloria Cathedral, a crypt behind the altar of a remote chapel outside Eldermire, the king's private study, encoded and hidden behind a false wall. These fragments describe a chronological, theological progression of the figure known as Numera. The early texts mirror typical mythological frameworks. A divine being descends from the heavens, blesses humanity with order and law, and delivers retribution upon heretics and monsters. However, as the fragments progress toward the forbidden final chapters, the tone shifts dramatically. In the late portions of the chronology, largely untranslated but partially interpreted through cross-referencing similar iconography, Numera appears to undergo a transformation. She begins to bear 6 arms, each one said to, quote, strike against a different star-born sin. The accompanying text refers repeatedly to Numera Ascendant, a state in which Numera ceases to act as a divine protector and instead becomes a harbinger of violent purification, described as a, quote, cleansing light that neither judges nor forgives, only purges. State-controlled theology and religious censorship. The Numeran Revisions, a codex recovered from the personal library of King Tavalier V of Veloria, contains internal directives to church officials to suppress the final chapters of the Book of Rising Light. These documents indicate a top-down effort to control public knowledge of Numera's ascension and the apocalyptic doctrine surrounding it. Contained within the codex are decrees outlining how these heretical verses should be redacted, hidden, or destroyed, with only a chosen priesthood permitted to view or interpret the original theology. Key passages are noted with warnings such as, "This knowledge is poison to our order," and "The full face of Numera is not fit for the eyes of mortals." It is theorized by Foundation scholars that the Church of Numera was not an invented system of faith, but rather a discovered theology, one inherited from a previous or forgotten civilization, possibly interstellar or interdimensional in nature. There is no record of the Church's origin in any known historical text. Its infrastructure, however, is extensive and fully integrated, suggesting either the sudden dissemination of a complete religious system or its implantation by external influence. No known cultural artifacts or regional variants predate the Church of Numera, further supporting the hypothesis that it appeared fully formed without theological predecessors. Ritual and public ceremony. While public worship of Numera centered around redemption, valor, and light, deeper studies suggest these teachings were surface-level rituals meant to pacify the population. Hymns and prayers recovered from public liturgical scripts reference protection and mercy, but carefully omit any mention of Numera's potential transformation or the six-blade prophecy. Analysis of choir manuscriptions and sermon outlines reveals repetitive linguistic encoding, possibly functioning as a mass-scale mnemonic or mimetic suppressant, designed to steer cognitive focus away from the more esoteric and dangerous aspects of the faith. Many sacred relics displayed to the public were discovered to be forgeries, constructed from mundane materials and layered with non-anomalous gold leaf and pigment. In contrast, relics that were locked away in the temple undercroft were composed of unidentified iridescent alloy that resists all forms of radiocarbon dating, and bears engraved mathematical sequences that seem to correspond to psionic harmonics. Implications and outstanding mysteries. Numera's identity. The anomalous consistency in her six-armed depiction across separate, hidden locations and mediums suggests a real entity or shared archetypal memory, not merely a mythological figure. The Six-Blade Prophecy. The final verses of the Book of Rising Light hint at an event where Numera, fully ascended, will, quote, draw her six blades and sever the roots of all gods, both foreign and man-born. This prophecy may correlate with the invasion events in Veloria's last days. Connection to the hero. Several theologians have noted parallels between the forbidden aspects of Numera's iconography and the hero's final moments and physiology, both exhibiting a form of multiplicity, six arms in text, or the expansion or multiplication of the psionic power within the hero. Purification themes, and isolation from the public's understanding. It is now postulated that Numera and the hero may be parallel constructs, possibly bound by a repeating, forgotten, or ongoing celestial pact. Absence of founding civilization. No records exist of Numera's original worshippers, predating Veloria. Attempts to locate a progenitor civilization have failed. This may indicate interdimensional dissemination, akin to a psychic or metaphysical virus embedding a religious seed in a receptive population. Conclusion. The Church of Numera is not merely a faith system. It is a veiled framework built around an anomaly. Its doctrines were not meant to guide, but to restrain, suppress, and contain cosmic truths that may have once been public, but were buried by necessity or fear. Whether Numera is a god, an alien weapon, or a dormant apocalyptic force remains unknown, until further translated texts or surviving high priestly records are recovered. The full scope and danger of the Church's secret theology cannot be ascertained. Nevertheless, its structured suppression, in tandem with the tragedy of Eldermire and the hero's rise and death, paints a rather somber picture with its eventual outcome. Addendum Y-61-G. Following extensive post-mortem analysis, researchers discovered that the heart of Numera's hero emits an identical psionic signature to that of the SCP-Y-061-AB alien entities, previously encountered and studied. This discovery strongly supports the theory that Master Orwin Merik's experimental procedures, involving alien blood transfusions, permanently altered the hero's physiology and psionic capabilities, elevating his psychic potential to levels that appeared virtually limitless, while tying his fate closely to that of the alien species. Dr. Barnaby Oswald, leading the research on this anomaly, has postulated an intriguing possibility arising from this discovery. His theory posits that the hero's preserved body and heart, continuing to emit this unique psionic signal, may yet serve as a conduit or beacon, potentially capable of interacting with whatever entity or entities the alien hearts seem to call out to post-mortem. Dr. Oswald suggests maintaining the hero's body in its current preserved and secured state indefinitely, to capitalize on any future psionic contact or dimensional breach aligned with the hero's and alien signature. He argues that if an entity or source capable of responding to this psionic call is discovered or intercepted, it may be feasible, under controlled conditions, to initiate a psychic resonance or revival event. Such an event, though admittedly theoretical, could potentially allow resuscitation or restoration of the hero's life functions, thereby providing invaluable insights into the alien species, their intentions, and methods of interdimensional travel or communication. Moreover, should successful revival or reanimation of the hero occur, Dr. Oswald proposes a period of careful linguistic and psychological acclimation, followed by potential integration into Mobile Task Force Zeta-0 as an asset possessing unparalleled psionic abilities. Given the hero's demonstrated resilience, psychic power, and inherent goodwill, this outcome could yield substantial benefits for ongoing containment and defense operations within PRY-1, and potentially other SCP encounters. Dr. Oswald's proposal highlights the broader philosophy underpinning Foundation research and containment practices. Within the anomalous, impossibility is merely a transient state, subject to revision upon discovery and understanding. Therefore, the tale of Numera's hero need not conclude with his tragic sacrifice, but rather may represent the nascent chapter of a greater narrative, one defined by resilience, redemption, and perhaps, ultimately, a second chance to fulfill his heroic aspirations. The situation shall remain under continual monitoring, with special priority assigned to any anomalous phenomena matching the identified psionic signatures released by the alien and hero's hearts. All Site-Y1 personnel involved with SCP-Y-061 are instructed to report immediately should relevant anomalies be detected, or if any correlation with Numera's hero's preserved remains arises. Perhaps, after all, the hero's journey has not yet reached its precipice. Perhaps it has only just begun. This is Director Waller, signing off on another report at Site-Y-1. I hope you'll consider subscribing to stay up to date with our latest findings. I eagerly look forward to having your audience in future reports.